Alright, so these are the 7 immutable laws of goal setting. This is the secret sauce that turns thoughts into reality. Now these 7 laws are hard to master, but if you do, life becomes a lot more fun. Hey heroes, my name is Nishantha. Welcome to Heroes Manual. This series is an experiment in self-design. This series is all about designing ourselves to become the hero of our own life's movie. Today I want to talk to you guys about the proper way of setting goals. A few years ago, I just graduated from university and I was going to go into a graduate program. I was actually going to go to medical school, but I had a huge change of heart in the last couple of semesters of college. And now, yes, you guessed it, I had to move back with my parents to try to figure out what I wanted to do. All my friends from home had moved away. All my friends from university had moved back to their own areas or graduate programs. So when I got home, I didn't have any friends. I was out of shape because I was so depressed and I wasn't working out. I wasn't doing the things that I wanted to be doing. I didn't even have a job. All the jobs that I was gonna do, I didn't feel like doing because I felt entitled and overqualified. I didn't want to be a barista. So I wasn't even earning an income at that time. And I had a lot of debt. Because of university, I had a lot of student loans. And when I came back from university, I didn't even have a working car. In my mind, that environment created a huge negative spiral that I couldn't really get out. And to make things even worse, I was engaging in self-destructive behaviors like sitting on the couch, playing video games, getting fat, right? Eating potato chips. I really wanted to change my situation. But I didn't understand how to do it. Every time I tried to accomplish something, I'd fail. Then I'd try to accomplish something else, then I'd fail again. And again, I kept failing to get the things that I wanted to get out of life. Every time I failed, my confidence dropped, right? So the next thing I would go into, I would have less confidence than I started with. So this created this vicious cycle where I had less and less confidence on the things that I wanted to achieve moving forward. And that made a situation where I was getting frustrated and angry and I really didn't know what to do. I had no idea how to make progress. The main problem that I was having at the time was I had no idea how to set goals and how to achieve goals. I didn't understand the science of goal setting. So at my lowest point that year, something really cool happened. I don't remember who or why I got this, but someone gave me a Barnes & Noble's gift card. So I took my mom's car to the Barnes & Noble's near my house and I looked through the self-help section and I got these 3 books. First one is called Unlimited Power by Tony Robbins. Second one, How to Think Like Leonardo da Vinci by Michael J. Gleb. And the third book, I think I let someone borrow it, it's called The Nerdist Way by Chris Hardwick, I think. So the ideas I found in these books became kind of like the kernel of my new operating system, the way I looked at the world. I don't think it really mattered that these 3 books were the books I chose. Like the books themselves don't matter, but I just think I was kind of ready for a new way to look at the world. And the ideas I found in here kind of helped catalyze certain thought patterns in my head that really helped me make huge changes. Now since then I've made some improvements and I've become much more efficient at achieving goals, and I've learned some important things along the way by reading books and listening to other people and lectures and YouTube and just like experiencing things and just discovering things on my own too. I've discovered 7 key principles that seem to kind of govern most successful people's progress through life. There seems to be a certain set of principles that these people follow in order to achieve. And the opposite is also true. It seems that if you break these principles, then you are unable to achieve your goals. One of the most important things that successful people do that unsuccessful people do not do is that they purposefully design themselves to become the person that they want to be. They don't leave it up to chance. They decide what they want to become, and then they take steps and create goals in order to achieve that. Now, learning how to set goals is not just an event. It's not like, oh, today I will set a goal. That's not how it works. It's a process. It's a procedure that takes place first in your mind and then in reality. See, everything that we have in civilization and society is always created twice. First, it's created in someone's brain as a thought or as a goal. And then again in reality when people or groups of people or individuals take actions on turning that thought or goal into a real thing that's in the physical world. Creating a goal is a catalytic step required to take a thought and turn that thought into something real. There are these 7 laws that govern whether a goal will become real or whether a goal will fail. If you follow the 7 laws, it's almost guaranteed that you will be successful. If you break the laws, it's almost guaranteed that you'll fail. Now, to my knowledge, there are 7 of these laws that I've been able to kind of discover and learn from other people. There could be more, but so far, I know there's 7. Here they are. The first law is called the law of mindset. Now, there was a Harvard study that was done that studied achievement, and they found out that 83% of the US populations do not have goals of any kind. Now, I think the reason why this happens is because somewhere along the way they realized, or there was a thought in their brain that told them that they can't actually get what they want. And it kind of reminds me of where I was in this really terrible place where I kept failing and I didn't actually think I can get what I wanted because every time I tried, I failed. So what's the point, right? So let's say that if I had 5, 6 more years of that type of year, I'm pretty sure that I wouldn't be able to set or achieve any type of goals. And this is what this study kind of talks about. 83% of the US population have no goals of any kind. So the first thing we gotta do is we gotta fix our mindset about how we think about things, how we think about ourselves. So there's 2 self-theories that people carry around. The first type of self-theory is the fixed self-theory. Now in this self-theory, we believe that the traits and the qualities and the intelligences, everything that we have, everything that we are, is fixed in a certain point. Like you're born with a certain level, and that's the level that you'll always be. That's a fixed mindset. Now having this type of mindset will often make people not even want to get in the game. People who have a fixed mindset believe that talent alone creates success without any effort. Now, the second type of mindset is called the growth mindset. In this mindset, people believe that the basic qualities are just a starting point. They believe that if they work hard and they dedicate themselves to a certain activity, they will naturally, with effort, will become better and better at that activity. They believe that they can get better at almost any activity with enough time and practice. Now, this point of view, this growth mindset, is essential because it creates the environment for people to become resilient to challenges, and it creates the environment for people to accomplish really difficult things. See, most people have a fixed mindset, right? So when they fail at something, they internalize that failure like, oh, I was just not talented enough to achieve this. No matter how much effort I put into it, I would have probably failed anyways because, well, look, I'm not talented, right? I am who I am. They believe these setbacks and failures are a reflection of themselves. They internalize it. They internalize their failure. When people who have a growth mindset fails at something, they externalize that failure. They say, oh man, there must have been something that I didn't do right. Let me go back and figure it out. Like, let me get better at the thing that I failed at, so when I do it next time, I'm better, right? They use failure as a signal to get better and to learn, while people who have a fixed mindset use signal as a reason not to do next time. So that's the 2 different mindsets, and law number 1 is for you to develop a growth mindset, because that's the basis of you becoming better and developing the skills to achieve your goals. Law 2 the law of alchemy. An alchemist was an ancient chemist that tried to take a metal with an inherently low value, such as lead, and tried to turn it into a metal with a high value, like gold, through an alchemical process. Now, that is a good metaphor for thinking about how goals work. See, a goal or an idea inside your head is really worthless. It's kind of like lead. It doesn't have that much of an inherent value. But if you take actions, you can transform it into something that has a lot of value. So this is kind of like the main idea behind the law of alchemy. You want to try to take the thought or goal that's inside your head, and you want to somehow put it into the physical world. Take the first step into putting it into the physical world. And the best way to do that is to write down your goals. You want to concretely write the ideas and goals and capture them somehow in the physical world. The more concretely you can put it into the physical world, the better chance that it will actually become a real thing. Because inside your head, it's just chemicals. It's not real. See, only about 3 out of 100 adults actually write down their goals. Most of the people keep it in their head, right? And it doesn't have any value. You need to take that first step. And the best way to do that is to write it down. After you write it down, it's really important to somehow share that with the people around you, because that makes you accountable, and to review them daily, because it's really easy for us to forget things, right? It's really easy for us to make something else more important than our goals. It's really easy for us to let someone else's goals take precedent over what we want. So we want to actually have a document where we keep all of our goals, and we want to share that document with the people that's close to us and the people that we can rely on and trust, and then review that document as much as possible. One way I do this is I have my written goals for the year posted in my bathroom and on my shower and in my office and in my car and in my phone. And every day I at least take a look at it, and the people that I'm around know about my goal. Law 2, write down your goals, share your goals, review them daily. Law 3, the law of fear. Fear setting before goal setting. There are 2 fundamental operating systems that humans use to assess the risks around our environment. And the first operating system is the really primitive one, the one that is in the lower brain. This is the system that evolved first. This is the system that says, hey, that looks like there might be a tiger in that bush. I might not want to go over there and get those berries because I can die, right? We are avoiding loss. The second system is in the pursuit of gain. This system evolved because there were some crazy humans, the ancient humans, that took risks, and those humans got the rewards and they were able to reproduce more, right? Hope and fear. In the Law 2, what we have to do is we have to shut down the first operating system, because that's a lot stronger than the second one. Do this procedure to shut down your fear-based operating system. And then you can initiate your secondary, the pursuit of gain or hope operating system. Fear is an emotional state that our brain produces to keep us from losing things. Hope is the emotional state that our brain creates to encourage us to pursue more, to gain more things. The main function of our brain is to keep us alive. And during the hunter-gatherer days, doing something that's out of your comfort zone, doing things that were risky, had severe, dire, fatal consequences. So our brains evolved to not do things that were risky, because the world was much dangerous back then. The world we live in now is not very dangerous. It's very safe. So we don't really need this fear-based operating system anymore. So our first thing we gotta do is we gotta shut it down and activate our hope-based operating system. Step number 1, write down the goal or project that you really wanna work on and get done. Number 2, write down all the ways that this project or goal could go wrong. Get really specific, get hyper specific, come up with details and examples of how this project could go array. Step number 3, take those negative outcomes and write down ways for you to minimize them. Get detailed and come up with examples and be very specific as well. Step number 4, come up with the steps that you can take to get back to where you are right now if those bad scenarios were to happen. Doing this exercise will make you realize that most bad negative scenarios when you're doing a project is not that bad, first of all. Second, it's highly unlikely. And third of all, in most cases, almost in all cases, they're completely reversible.
Setting exercise, that's what I call it, just like goal setting. When you get really specific on your fears, you rob them of their power.
Law 4, the law of metrics. Human beings have this unique ability to measure and count things, right? We have this ability to quantify the world around us. And this ability gave us a huge evolutionary advantages over the other species on this planet. See, the things that we measure become the things that are important to us. It becomes the things that we notice the most because our brains are wired to do that. Counting and measuring the world around us is one of our strongest mental tools. It defines us as a species. We are wired to think that what we can measure is important. We pay attention, we notice it. Knowing all of that, when we set goals, we have to come up with ways to measure them and track our progress. So if we are not measuring our progression in our goals, it's hard for us to believe that we are actually making any progress on them. Metrics are one of the most important things when it comes to goal setting. I actually did a video on metrics. I'll put a link on the description if you want to check that out. All right, law 5, the law of control. Now this law is all about controlling what we can and letting go of what we can't control. Now, the ancient Roman philosophers came up with this idea called the dichotomy of control. Now, in this idea, they go into this concept of the world being separated into 2 distinct categories. The first category are all the things that you have immediate control over. Right, your thoughts, your actions, what you do with your time, what you do with your energy, those kind of things are things that you have control over. And then the other part of the world are things that you cannot control, or things that you only have partial control over. And those could be things like what other people's actions, thoughts, and feelings are. So when we make our goals, we want to kind of keep that idea in context, right? So we want to make our goals in the first world, in the world where we have direct control over those things. So let me give you an example. So let's say that you're a tennis player, right? And then you have a tournament coming up next week. A really bad goal, according to this concept, according to this paradigm, would be to say, I want to win that tournament. Because winning that tournament has lots of different variables that is not directly under your control. There are things that you can't account for. There are things that other people will impact on the outcome, right? You're probably gonna be playing another person, and that person's practice and the way they think while they're playing is gonna have an impact on the tournament. So that is not a good goal to set according to this paradigm, because you only control some of the variables. A good way to rephrase that goal would be to say, I will practice 3 hours a day until the tournament, and during the tournament I will play at my absolute hardest, or I will give my 100% effort. So with this law, we want to make sure all of our goals are things that we have control over. We don't want to make goals that we can't directly have an impact on. So you want to own everything that you do towards your goals, and one way to do that is to really figure out the variables that you can control and then act on those variables. And then if you fail on doing that, then you go back and you figure out how you can make that better and better and better, right? How you can execute your actions and thoughts that will allow you to get to your, get to your vision, right? This is a good way to set yourself up for success and to help you build your confidence, because you alone own your actions. So when you win, it's yours. When you lose, it's yours. So you can learn from it. You don't get to blame anyone. All right, so that's law 5. All right, so this one's law 6. Law 6 is the law of systems. Set systems up to achieve your goals. Now, I originally got this idea from Scott Adams, and in Scott's book he talks about this idea of setting up systems to get what you want. So Scott Adams says that goals are for losers, and here's what he says about it. So he uses the example of a person trying to lose 10 pounds, right? So the person will set a goal of, hey, I want to lose 10 pounds, and from the moment he sets a goal, he's operating at a state of failure, right? Because he hasn't got there yet. And let's say that somehow this person gets to the point where they actually lose the 10 pounds. Right after they lose it and they measure and they're like, yes, I achieved my goal and I feel great. But then a few days later, that person loses the thing that was driving them to achieve that thing, right? Whereas if that person had just set a system up to where the outcome would gradually get them to losing 10 pounds, they would always be winning, right? So if instead of saying I want to lose 10 pounds and that's your goal, you can say I'm going to gradually remove sugar from my diet, right? That's a good system because you can systematically remove sugar out of your diet, right? And every time you do it, you're winning. You're getting more efficient at your system. So what's the difference between a system and a goal, right? So a goal is something that you want to achieve sometime in the future. It has an outcome. It's binary. You achieve it or you don't achieve it. But in a system, what you're doing is you're taking regular actions on a daily basis that increases the likelihood of something positive happening in a domain area. All right, law 7, the law of momentum. Hedge your goals, bet on yourself. So the world's most successful people understand this concept. What you become by achieving your goals is more important than what you get by achieving your goals. So you want to create situations when you're creating your goals to where you are going to win no matter what happens. No matter what outcome happens, you're going to be winning. You should design your systems and goals in such a way that you're always gaining skills, experiences, and connections. So no matter what the outcome, the time, money, and energy invested in this goal is gonna increase the likelihood of your next goal or your next system working better for you, right? So always bet on yourself. When there's a situation where you can learn something and gain experiences, and you can get some connections, or you can just achieve a goal like straight away, always pick the scenario where you're gaining experiences, skills, and connections with a chance of you actually achieving your goals as well, right? So it's a process of becoming better and better and better and more able to do things that other people won't be able to do. If you design the situation to where you're always going to be gaining skills, experiences, and connections, your energy, time, and money invested in any pursuit is going to be worth it, because you're going to get a return on your investments later on. So the law of momentum is a way of designing your systems and goals to where they will give you more options in the future. Look, the honest truth is you're going to fail at most things you try, but the important thing is that you design these systems and goals to where you're failing forward, learning while you're falling, getting experiences, meeting new people, and enjoying the process. This is the only way to actually do really hard, great things. Because otherwise, you'd be miserable most of the time. Imagine constantly failing and feeling miserable about it. But if you set this up in the correct way, you can actually have fun messing up. And that's kind of the point. The way you design things will either give you confidence and help you gain momentum, or it'll take your confidence away and it'll keep you in the same place you are as you always been. So all of our 7 laws are kind of designed to serve this purpose of making you a better instrument of your thoughts, right? So that's what going back to what confidence is. It's the ability to make the things that you think become reality. It's an alchemy. And the more you follow these 7 laws, the more able you are to push through the failures, learn from your mistakes, learn from your successes, and achieve what you want to achieve. Of course, no one's perfect. I'm struggling with some of the goals that I set for myself this year, and maybe I can share some of those with you guys in the next video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. See you next time. If you have any questions, leave it in the comments below. Bye. Hey guys, thanks for watching. If this is your first time here, I'd love for you guys to subscribe. If you like this video, you can hit the like button to support the channel, and let me know your thoughts on the comment section. Thanks again. See you next time.